If you're not interested in this already, I don't know what to tell you. In the world of Patema Inverted, scientists attempted to harness gravity as energy. However, the experiment went horribly wrong, resulting in the gravity for some people becoming reversed. These people moved underground, forming their own society separate from those on the surface. Patema is a so-called invert who accidentally finds her way to the surface. A huge amount of creativity comes from the mere premise alone. Because the gravity for Patema and Age is inverted relative to each other, they have to cling to each other to keep one another from floating away. Just look at this sequence. Have you ever seen anything like it? I'm always shaking my head when inexperienced anime fans hail some anime as something new and unique when it's very clearly uninspired, rehashed crap. Patema Inverted is one of the most unique and creative anime I've seen in a long time. This is also made evident by a few interesting twists and major irony that I of course can't spoil, but believe me when I say they're pretty intriguing. And you people who circle jerk world building, boy, does this movie have an interesting world. The only thing I can name as a potential flaw is that a couple of things confused me, though this is really just stuff that's open for the viewer to think about and figure out on their own, so I really wouldn't cite it as a negative. Patema reminds me of Ronka Lee from Macross Frontier in basically every way. Her appearance, her voice, and even her energetic personality to a degree. And I love Ronka, so this is definitely not a bad thing. On the topic of her character herself, I love Patema. She's particularly well characterized by the absolute terror she feels in a world that's inverse of her own. Age is also extremely likable, and both of them are pretty fleshed out in spite of the movie's limited runtime. A nice chunk of their character development is in the romance that ends up growing. I haven't shipped a pairing as hard as I shipped Patema x Age in a long time. I came to feel a lot for them through their ordeals together, especially through the trust they build up between each other. My only complaint is that we didn't get to see them kiss. But seriously though, you actually see that they've built a relationship through events that occur, which I don't want to spoil, but trust me, their romance is compelling. Oh, and did I mention that it also has good themes that are exemplified through the characters? Well, now I did. While the main characters are incredibly lovable, the side characters are pretty subpar, and some of them definitely could have used more characterization, Porta in particular, as he was just kind of annoying most of the way through, though he ended up having a couple redeeming moments. However, to avoid this cutting into the characterization of the two main characters, the runtime of the movie would have had to have been extended to make it happen. The villain in particular is unfortunately pretty bland as well. The animation is smooth as butter and fluid as something fluidy. I don't know, it's just good, okay? This is evident even in simple things like hair and clothing, which while minor, are of noticeably high quality. The art in general is very clean and crisp. You get a great feel for the emotions of the characters from their facial expressions, especially their faces of shock, amazement, and fear. As I already mentioned and showed, Patema and Age's inverted sense of gravity makes for some jaw-dropping perspectives and angles, and sometimes, even direct POV shots. One of the most shining aspects of the movie is the flip-flopping of what's up and what's down. The direction in this regard is so great that it even gave me a feeling of mild vertigo sometimes as my brain subconsciously tried to flip things right side up. The colors are also pleasantly bright and vibrant. Studio Rika has done very little to this point, but this movie looks far better than anything certain overrated production studios like Ufotable have ever done. Seriously man, all they have is gradients. The OST is an interesting mix that feels like a combination of FMA Brotherhood's driving action-y pieces, Ghibli's airy, methodic, orchestral tracks, and now and then, here and there's industrial sounds. The sound direction in general is great. The songs are utilized perfectly for their respective scenes, but perhaps even more important than this is the use of silence. Some parts have the music abruptly stop, and the resulting silence ends up being much more effective than any music could have been. Yukio Fuji is a virtually unknown name in the Japanese voice acting world, but wow is her performance as Patema impressive. As her first lead role in an anime, she did an amazing job. Nobuhiko Okamoto, on the other hand, is much more seasoned, though that doesn't detract from his performance in the least. The aspect of the sound that stood out the most to me, though, was the ending theme, which perfectly accentuated the ending scene, and ended the movie on a perfect note. Patema Inverted is easily my second favorite anime movie, second only to The Place Promised in our early days, and one of my top 10 favorite anime ever. It wove an enthralling narrative that had me entranced from beginning to end. I haven't felt so happy after having watched something in a long time. It's enchanting, phenomenal, fantastic, magical. I felt like I had accomplished something in my life after having seen this movie. I didn't want to go to bed afterwards, because I knew that feeling of euphoria would end. I know that all sounds silly, but it's true. It's not an anime you just watch. It's an anime you experience, and boy was it an experience. When I first saw Beginning of the Day, the online pre-airing of the first 20 minutes of Patema Inverted, I expected to get a good movie, but the full movie blew those expectations out of the water. I wasn't expecting to get something this amazing. I'm sorry if I'm being a perpetuator of hype here, but this movie is good. Legitimately. All the aspects of this movie come together to make something truly special. Final score, 9.2 out of 10. Patema Inverted is a masterpiece in its own right. It's pretty undermentioned and underrated, especially compared to recent schlock like Madoka Rebellion. Like, there should be some law making this illegal. God, fuck Rebellion. I guess now's the part where I'd say, if you liked X or Y, you should watch Patema Inverted. But honestly, I think everyone should watch this movie. I guess the only people who shouldn't watch it are those with shit taste? I don't know. Guys, I never get this excited about shit. Come on. If not for that, if you're a fan of Yasuhiro Yoshiira, you have to check this movie out, as this is far and away his best work yet. I guess at this point I have nothing more to say. I've told you how good it is, I told you how much I adore it, now you just have to go experience it for yourself. I deliberately made this review shorter than I could have so I didn't run out of footage or spoil the best scenes, and so you can get out to watching it sooner. Actually, I think I'm gonna go watch it again right now. Now go! Shoo! Get out of here. See? All out of footage. Can't show you anything else. Go watch it right now.